It's that time of the year, isn't it? Before we get started, we're going to ask Chairman Jaspers if you would open us with a word of prayer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's all bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for this upcoming week, but most importantly, thanks for the glorious weekend we just had. You know, Heavenly Father, please be a presence in our lives as we go through this week, and please give us patience, kindness, and wisdom, because we certainly will need it. And for our friend Terry England, Lord, thank you for your healing hands around him and his progression. And we work in your word, in your name today. Amen.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay. Let's get started. Representative Mary Margaret Oliver.
I bring your attention to House Bill 399 that's at the very top of page 5. 399 comes to us from the Government Affairs Committee that has had a good discussion about the phenomena of out-of-state property owners buying significant numbers of single-family homes. And House Bill 399 is one step forward to require that an out-of-state property owner that owns more than 25 single-family homes must have a Georgia real estate broker or a person in Georgia. We need a presence in Georgia for this significant phenomena of purchase, taking away the limited supply of single-family homes. We had a good hearing about the significant percentages of single-family homes that are purchased all over. Atlanta is a national target. This is a national issue. And I am pleased to bring you this modest reform forward that will assist our families purchase single-family homes and at least know who is the owner and who is responsible for the repairs.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and thank you committee for allowing me to present my bill, which is HB 200 LC 610193S, and it is on page 2 in the middle of the page. This bill references the State Board of Education, which will establish a 3-year pilot immersive writing program and grant funding for all public school students in grades 2 to 5 to participate. This writing program aligns with the current writing standards established by the State Board of Education and can be integrated into the existing curriculum. In addition, this bill requires playgrounds be included in all new school constructions in order to address the physical, sensory, cognitive, social, emotional, imaginative, and communication needs of students.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Representative Neal.
Thank you to the chair. Thank you to the committee. Today I bring to you House Bill 229. That's going to be on the very back page of the document. All this bill does is allows for local school districts who have E-SPLOST capital building projects to have their local sales taxes exempt when they purchase construction materials. This just allows for school districts to save a few dollars during their developments, which they can reinvest in their communities later. And with that, Mr. Chair, I ask for your favorable consideration.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to the members of the committee. I present to you today House Bill 563, which is found on page 6 at the bottom. This bill will allow for licensed doctors of physical therapy to verify via affidavit for an individual to receive a disabled parking permit, and as stated in the bill, to obtain special vehicle decals is the proper term. Licensed physical therapists will join in with licensed chiropractors, licensed optometrists, doctors of osteopathic medicine, and licensed doctor of podiatric medicine. Physical therapists are highly trained and qualified to identify, recognize, and treat movement disorders and rehabilitation as well as habilitation. I ask for your favorable consideration of House Bill 563. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. Don't see any questions. Representative Gilliard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. I'll be presenting to you House Bill 465, the substitute on page 5 down to the bottom. This is a substitute because we had the privilege of working with the GVI on this Saving Lives bill. It is the Missing Autism Alert bill. We've had a lot of unfortunate family members that have either been a casualty or suffered missing or gravitating to roads or waterways. So this will be an alert system directed through the GBI, and we hope that it will save lives. Mr. Chairman, we ask for your favorable consideration on House Bill 465.
Thank you, sir. Don't see any questions. Representative Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 127 is page 1, the last one on the page. This is a teacher bill, and school personnel. Currently, they earn 1.25 days of sick days per month, where 3 of those days can be used for personal days. Simply changing the 3 days to 5 to encourage our teachers for additional personal days that they can use from their sick days. And I ask for your favorable consideration.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thanks, sir. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. 4th page, 11th one down, House Bill 351. All right, I think everybody's there. What we're doing with House Bill 351 LC 443100S, the solid waste handling facility permitting has long been a source of litigation. This litigation is intended to revise the Solid Waste Act to remove provisions deemed unconstitutional, just clarify responsibilities of public hearings, who's required to do what for us, the county, the EPD, just keep us out of lawsuits and save money. So that's the intent of House Bill 351.
Okay, don't see any questions. You got another one?
Yes, I do. House Bill 371, 14th one down on the 4th page. I might need that. And it's LC 492236. All right, under the Quality Basic Education Act, all we're doing here, we're just increasing the state's maximum authorization for capital outlay funding from $300 million to $375. And I said maximum. We can appropriate less than that, but not over $375. That number has not been raised since 2007, and will not take effect until 2027. With the rate of inflation alone since 2014 has went up over 33%. So this just trying to get us back in line with what actual construction costs are today.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you, Chairman Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Today I'm here to bring House Bill 647. This bill is annexing 45 small parcels into Mulberry. Oh, let me tell you the page. I believe it's on page 7. This bill is annexing 45 small parcels into Mulberry. All of these parcels are in my district. The commissioners, we have been told, will not be opposing this bill. The commissioners of Gwinnett.
Okay, have a question for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does the general leader yield for a question or two?
I do.
So that is not my understanding, that Gwinnett County Commissioners are supportive of this bill. My understanding is that they're in ongoing negotiations. Is that not true?
That is not something I am aware of. I had a discussion this morning and was told that the commissioners were told that it was in their best interest just to allow this.
again, not what I've heard from the representative of Gwinnett County, who I spoke with this morning as well. Is it not true that, as we have some local annexation bills, that this bill provides no opportunity for residents to say whether or not they would want to proceed, and may also lack local control and transparency as it's currently drafted?
Mulberry is brought about because the people wanted to have more control. So I would say that that statement is not true, because that is why it was brought about. The people want more control over what is going to be done there.
One final question. Is it not true that the creation of the city of Mulberry was privileged to the extent that it did not follow the traditional 2-year timeline that it takes to create new cities? In which, again, I remain concerned, in which, again, we are seeing these unilateral actions taken without full agreement and an opportunity for transparency in the people to provide input into significant actions that may affect both Gwinnett County, second largest county in the state, and the city.
So I would say that this city was taken to a vote. It was passed by a large number of people. So I would have to disagree with that.
Okay, have another question for you. 15 more. Do you have a question?
Oh, did you say me? I'm sorry, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have a question for the bill sponsor. Did this bill have bipartisan support within the local Gwinnett County delegation?
Because it is strictly in my district and it was assigned to be a general bill, I have spoken with some of the members, but I did not discuss it as a vote.
Okay, but so to your knowledge, last question, do any Democratic members of the Gwinnett County delegation support your bill?
I have spoken with 2 that have said that they are not concerned with it, that it is, that they're not concerned with it. The other one said that he's going to make a statement regarding the bill.
Thank you.
Okay, don't see any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have 3 bills I spoke to you about before. House Bill 298 was something to help our nurses. House Bill 320 was something to help our environment. And House Bill 432 on the 5th page dealt with turkey conservation. The bill I'm here to present today is House Bill 482 at the bottom of the 5th page, which codifies a practice of allowing judicial officers in circuits that have over 15 Superior Court judges.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank
I'd
you,
ask
sir.
for favorable consideration. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Chairman Jones.
Thank you, Chairman Parrish. Members of the committee, I come to you first with House Bill 175. That's second page, 8 down. This is a department bill. DECAL is basically, I'm working with DECAL to get them in line with the federal requirements set out by the FBI around background checks. Today, in the past year, they do about 70,000 a year to keep our youngest safe. And this goes through the entire ecosystem of every individual that would be, quote, involved within the DECAL organization statewide. That's the summary of the bill, sir.
I don't see any question. You have another one?
Yes, sir. House Bill 652, 11 down on page 7. This is also a cleanup bill in some way, but not a department cleanup bill. As you recall, 2 years ago, Chairman Jaspers was the sponsor of an EV bill that did a myriad of different things, including an excise tax. This bill, working with Chairman Jaspers, we would basically exempt one charitable organization called the RAY, which is an experiential organization that does transportation, I'll say, work in advanced modalities. And they had put in an EV charger over 10 years ago that is exclusively charged, or it gets electricity from a solar array, not from the grid. It's on the federal right-of-way, and it does not charge, and it does level 3 charging at about 175 kilowatts an hour. What we're asking for in this bill for them to be exempt. And one of the clarifications that we did here in order to not open up Pandora's box was to make sure that it was in operation by January 1, 2025. That's the summary, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, don't see any questions.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to members of the committee. Today, I am presenting House Bill 335, which is on page 4, and this is 6 from the top. House Bill 335 raises awareness of mental health resources available to student athletes and requires coaches to annually review materials and guidelines about mental health risk. There's no cost associated with this, and the implementation of this bill would mirror that of current concussion and cardiac arrest protocols. It's fully supported by the Georgia High School Association.
Okay, don't see any questions on that. You have a resolution for us also?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I do have a resolution that's on page 7, and it's the 8th from the bottom. House Resolution 130 is legislation to compensate Mr. Cedric Moore, who was wrongfully convicted for 21 years for a crime that he did not commit. Modern DNA testing revealed that Mr. Moore was not the culprit of the act committed. Thus, the charges against him were dismissed and he was officially exonerated. Mr. Moore had no prior criminal record, and he has been a model citizen since his release, and so I ask for this body's favorable consideration.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to members of the committee.
Representative Townsend.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. If you turn to page, top of page 3, House Bill 235, it is LC 492305S. Basically, this is a cleanup from a bill a few years ago. It's the Georgia Education Living Donor Educators Act. It allows paid time leave off for secondary, post-secondary teachers and full-time staff employees to donate an organ and have received that paid time leave.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman Gully.
Good morning. This is House Bill 522. It's on page 6, middle of the way down. What this bill does is it prohibits organ transplant centers from discriminating against organ transplant recipients based solely due to their COVID-19 vaccination status. It's a bill we passed last year, got hung up in the Senate, and I think we're going to try it again.
Okay, do have a question for you. Leader Hughley, is that your? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you tell me why we need this bill?
Why we need this bill?
Yes.
Well, even lately, so COVID, we feel like it's behind us a little bit. Even lately, January 13th, there's a news article. Mom declined second COVID shot. Now Dartmouth Hitchcock is denying her transplant. February 14th, child refused heart transplant over vaccination status. It's related to COVID-19. It's happening today. COVID-19 vaccination is something that is continuing to get pushed by some of these organ transplant centers, but I think there's a number of people who, rightly so, don't want to get vaccinated for it. I got vaccinated for it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I think it's become a political thing, and you have a right to get an organ transplant, I believe, and it should be based on COVID-19 status.
Isn't it true that I just went through a heart transplant with my brother-in-law, and they have to have those vaccines done so that they can move forward with the work to make sure that they're not going to be somehow compromised because of the cost associated with these organ transplants. I'm very concerned about what you're proposing here because we're dabbling in the practice of medicine even more than what we normally do.
Well, I think I'm sorry to hear. I hope that they're healing, and I hope they're on the good end of that transplant. This is not something that I feel we're dabbling with medicine. This is just saying the only criteria that you cannot be excluded from is COVID-19 vaccination, and not all centers do it today. Only some centers. So I think that shows that it's not such a dependency. This is important that you have viability of the organ receiver. You want those organs they're very precious. Want them to be used by the right people, and for people who are going to succeed. And I don't think COVID-19 vaccination is a hindrance to that.
Okay, have another question, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So to your last point, good morning.
Sorry.
To the sponsor, to your last point, isn't it a fairly complex assessment about what kind of patient is appropriate for organ donation, period?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, and so medical professionals, do they not have a whole list of things that a person cannot do in order to be qualified for an organ transplant, correct?
I think it's holistic. There are certain people, just because you're diabetic doesn't mean you're excluded from getting a transplant. Just because you were a drinker in your life doesn't mean you're excluded. I'm just trying to say, just because you don't have your COVID-19 vaccination solely based, you can have other reasons that you don't get that transplant or don't qualify, but specifically to the COVID-19 vaccination.
One more question. Is it not true that if a patient does not survive due to the illness, that the organ that has been transplanted into that person cannot then go to another person? Do you understand my question?
So basically, if you receive the transplant and you pass away, that same organ can't be used again. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, for an immunocompromised person.
Sure, but I think there are a lot of vaccinations out there. Just the COVID-19 vaccination specifically as the sole discriminating factor. It's about the sole discriminating factors. If you have problems, most likely there's other discriminating factors that would not allow you to have the organ transplant.
Thank you. Chairman Hawkins, you have a question?
Isn't it true that COVID has so many variants now that the vaccine you may be given today may not be effective in 2 weeks? And this is one of the reasons you're bringing this bill?
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Martin, you got a quick question?
Just a quick question. I think the gentleman explained it, but I just want to, again, you would, if you had comorbidities, if you had drank a lot and you had diabetes and you had other things and you had the COVID shot, you could still be denied because of the total of it all. You just are trying to do the one simple thing doesn't take you off the list. Isn't
That's
that
correct.
true?
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman Bonner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bringing you House Bill 224. It's on the second page, second from the bottom. This is a piece of legislation that was brought to us by the leadership of Fort Stewart. It would simply allow the state of Georgia through GDOT to enter into a regional governmental support agreement for the purposes of doing work on our military installations. No cost to the state. This would simply allow vendors through the DOT to do work on our installations. It would help get that work done faster, more efficiently, and there is an economic benefit to our state vendors for that.
Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative McCollum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Good morning. I have HB 575. It's at the top of sheet 7. It's a Georgia DOT department bill. It has 4 sections. The first section essentially gives the DOT a little bit more flexibility due to newspapers not being printed daily now. Some only go once a week, so that gives them a little more flexibility on posting. It doesn't change how the 2 postings they already have for public hearings. Second section gives the department the ability to negotiate with condominiums for only common areas, and so it gives them the ability just to negotiate with the condominium associations. Third section codifies the GOD trip program, and essentially what that does is lets them pay bonuses for picking up tractor trailers 16,000 pounds and over to get them out of the road and get the roads open faster on the interstates. And the fourth section gives the department a head start on getting utilities moved on the widening of state road projects so they can get a head start and get the projects going faster. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have House Bill 12 LC number 499002S. HB 12 passed the House nearly unanimously last year. As a quick refresher, what HB 12 does is simply lower the threshold for equalization eligibility from 14 mills down to 10. Doesn't change the formula for equalization, doesn't change the formula for QBE, doesn't change the local 5 mill share requirement. It would allow, not require, a local school system that receives equalization to simply roll back their millage rate over time to a new minimum threshold of 10. The bill also includes a penalty provision for those school systems who sometime in the future might roll back their millage under the new proposed threshold of 10. There is no penalty in the code as of today. This bill adds a 25% penalty on equalization if a school system rolls back under the new proposed threshold. Appreciate the help from Chairman Irwin and the Speaker Pro Tem in crafting the language. That's the bill. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman.
Okay. Any members of the committee have requests? Okay, got several. Chairman Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 5, at the bottom of the page, House Bill 473 is the Department Drugs and Narcotics and the Board of Pharmacies annual update bill, drug update.
If you have a question, raise your hand. I've got several lights blinking, okay? No questions. Thank you, sir. Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask the committee's favorable consideration of House Bill 614. It's halfway down page 7. It would prohibit the use or ignition of consumer fireworks within 100 yards of a commercial facility housing equines in a confined area. It would add this use to a long list that's currently in law restricting fireworks within 100 yards because of a danger to the people who work with horses and the horses themselves. The one difference between this use and any other uses that fit this category of 100 yards, it would require the passage of a local ordinance by the city or county to put it in effect. So it would not go in effect anywhere in the state without a local ordinance. And the local ordinance would allow for special use permits even if they put the ordinance into effect.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you. Vice Chair Leverett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two new bills on the blue sheet. One is on the first page. It's the second one in the modified structured rules section. It's House Bill 37, came out of the Education Committee. It would just require local school systems to notify employees if the school system withholds Social Security or not. School systems are exempt, and many of them across the state do not. And a number of employees have had unfavorable surprises upon retirement, so we're just trying to make sure they're made aware of that. The other bill is House Bill 339, and that would just, the title is a little misleading because the sections that would exempt rideshare drivers from the Motor Carrier Act have been removed. That was in response to a Court of Appeals decision. Now the only thing remaining in the bill is the final section, which simply confirmed existing law that those drivers, that the rideshare service doesn't have vicarious liability for the acts of the drivers because they're independent contractors. And those are the two bills, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, don't see any questions on those two bills. Okay. Chair Lady Cooper, you have a request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. That House Bill 91 on the first page, it's the one on specialty vets, and it's the one that had a Scribner error, and it's been corrected, and it was already slated to be on the floor for a vote, and I would ask that it be put back. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Don't see any questions on that 91. Chairman Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the top of page 4, 322, Board of Dentistry issuance of a dental license, not including dental hygiene.
What number is it?
322.
Okay.
Top of page 4. This is teaching license for sole purpose of teaching foreign, well, these will be foreign faculty. Right now our clinical faculty stands at only 80% at MCG. Then the second one on top of page 7, 571, this is a bill we had last year dealing with radiology assistants. It was left on the table in the Senate. This involves actually access to care, increasing availability of radiological images being read.
Okay. Do you have a resolution also?
I could. 72,
yes,
I think?
Sir.
I don't know where it is on here, but yeah, that's for the Cancer Coalition Study Committee on Cancer Care.
Yeah, first page.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that help.
Okay, I don't guess we have any questions about that, okay. Chairman Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've already asked for 247, 455, 467. Today I'd like to ask on the yellow sheet, House Bill 651. This is a bill that cleans up a contentious issue that we've been dealing with. The red light, the speed zone camera bill. This puts very strict parameters around these devices. Gets back to the original purpose of a public safety, and I'll be glad to go on to the bill, but just briefly, it puts specific times that they can run these cameras, have to have flashing signs that give the speed of the oncoming vehicle, and then where the money goes is divided, that half of all these fines will go back to the public schools in that district for school safety.
Okay. Don't have a question for you. Chairman Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just curious, I hadn't seen the bill yet, but is there any penalty for the camera manufacturers for these defaulty cameras that may send out a bill that's in error?
Well, under the current law, and no, there's not, because under the established legislation, current legislation, the local police authorities are supposed to review those citations. Something that I don't think has always been a practice among these folks. So when somebody gets tagged with one of these speeding violations, that police jurisdiction that's running these and authorizing these, they're supposed to review them before those citations go out. I'll also say one of the things that we've done is clean up some of the existing state law of saying that most people don't realize, but we have always had a policy in the state of Georgia on radar, that any radar device, you've got to be running more than 10 miles over the speed limit for that radar to kick in, unless you're a state patrolman. We have actually put that in there and cleaned up a lot of the local legislation that deals with this, so that 25 actually means 35.
Okay, don't see any other questions. Thanks, sir. Chairman Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the back page, under Structure Rule, House Bill 144 deals with how we train physicians, nurse practitioners, and PAs. It's important that they get outside the tertiary care hospitals to get their training. This continues and reauthorizes a medical preceptor program. It expands it a little bit to include dental students and dentists as well, to be included along with physicians, nurse practitioners, and PAs.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you, sir. Chairman Dempsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 7, about midway down, House Bill 612, this will add a member to the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council, specifically the Commissioner of Insurance, and will also establish a parity compliance review panel within the council to help address the challenges we are still facing in parity between mental health and health.
Okay, don't see any questions on that. Thank you. Chairman Irvin, is that you? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also on page 7, about halfway down, HR 145, what this does is, as we're walking down the path of trying to do a better job of teaching and our kids reading in school, this is working with the expansion of the vision and hearing screening, so we're catching those kids at an earlier age and helping them through their handicap.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thanks, sir. All right, is that all the members of the committee there? We all know we got a couple of busy days ahead of us, so we have set a calendar for today what we're gonna do now is set a supplemental calendar for today, Monday. Under modified open, House Resolution 69.
Move.
Have a move and second. Is there any opposition? It's on. Under modified structure, 91.
Move.
Seconded and moved. Is there any opposition? It's on. House Bill 255.
Move.
Moved and seconded. No opposition. It's on. House Bill 262.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 398.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 399.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 454.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Is there any opposition? It's on. House Bill 473.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 612.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. Under structured, House Bill 141.
Move.
Moved and seconded. It's on. House Bill 165.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 229.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. Okay, that'll be our supplemental calendar for today. Now, hold on just a minute. Okay, this will be the calendar for tomorrow, Tuesday, day 27. Under modified structure, House Bill 37.
Move.
Have a move and second. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 77.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 123.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 154.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 180.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 197.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 244.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 304.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 309.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 314.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 325.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 348.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 406.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 465.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. Okay, under structured, House Bill 79.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 129.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 144.
Move.
Any opposition? Excuse me?
These are
okay? 144 is on. Okay, let me run over these with you. For our supplemental calendar for today, House Resolution 69, House Bill 91, 255, 262, 398, 399, 454, 473, 612. Under structured for today, 141, 165, 229. So that will be our supplemental calendar for today. On our rules calendar for tomorrow, Tuesday, House Bill 37, 77, 123, 154, 180, 197, 244, 304, 309, 314, 325, 348, 406, 465, and under structured, 79, 129, 144. Thank you all. We're adjourned.